Bienvenidos! Today on the 167, we show off some more of our Spanish skills and talk about the parable of the Good Samaritan. Welcome to the 167.
1, 2, 3, let's go!
All right, welcome back to the 167. I'm Carissa. I'm here with Pastor Lucas.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, you're going to say something when I say
up,
your
bro?
name. Bro. And Pastor Jake,
Hello.
our youth pastor here at New Life, and he works with our 7th through 12th grade students. So,
Give him the scuba, Jave.
what?
Yeah, whatever this is,
What is that?
we learned a lot.
Wow, I don't know what that was. If you're not watching
neither.
the podcast, they just did something that I don't know what it is. It's something the kids are doing, right?
It's the next brain rot.
Yeah,
It's-
it definitely is.
It's the next Gen Alpha, Gen Z trend. So I don't know what's happening right now. And I feel old all the time.
Scuba.
Every time I'm around high schoolers, I'm like, I am so old. I don't know what you guys are saying.
They're an interesting species for
Yeah,
sure.
for sure. So hats off to Pastor Jake. So we were talking about, Lucas, you opened your sermon this past Sunday, which was on the parable of the Good Samaritan. So we'll get there. But you opened your sermon by talking about fatigue and that there's a lot of things that we can be fatigued by. So I was just curious, what kind of fatigue do you guys have?
I have all of them.
Can you
You're just fatigued.
can you be more specific?
I think my top two would be tips and teens.
Tips and teens.
Like, I do have tip fatigue. Like, now, like, every time that... And it's terrible because we benefit from this. So, like, we go and we do fundraisers by serving concessions at KU games and things like that. And I tell people, like, listen, if you tip, it goes towards...
Sure. Our kids' school.
Yeah. And so that's the thing where it's just like, I want people to tip, but also I'm like, I don't know
Also-
why you would. I just handed you a $8 hot dog.
Also, I didn't do anything, but
Yeah. Here
okay.
you go.
So you want the tips, but you're tired of giving tips.
Yeah. I just don't like fast food. There's no reason to tip in fast food. Like, none.
I agree.
I agree. Right? Like every time it's like, do you want to give your barista a tip? I'm like, no, you're paying them.
Even there's some nice restaurants where like a robot will bring you your appetizer.
What?
Yeah.
I'm tipping the robot? What am I doing?
I want to go to there. How do I?
Yeah.
I want to go to there.
Quick Trip, they got a robot, like mopping
Yeah.
the floor.
Cleaning the
I'm just
floor.
going to leave
I
a dollar
have
right on its
seen
head.
that. I have seen that. Okay, Jake, what kind of fatigue do you have?
Right now, I'll also do a top two. I have retreat fatigue from
Okay, yeah.
the spring retreat.
Yeah.
Great time, but fatiguing. And I also have toddler fatigue at home.
For those of you who don't know, Jake has a 3-year-old and almost
Almost
1-year-old.
1-year-old, yeah.
Whew, so Jake's just tired all the time.
Yep.
And you work with students, so
It's great.
just tired all the time. What a fun phase of your life.
Yeah.
That's so good. I was thinking about the tip fatigue, I think too, but I was also thinking about I have subscription fatigue. Like every time you order something, you are now signed, like they subscribe you to their email list or they subscribe. Like I'm like, I unsubscribe,
That's
unsubscribe. I hate that.
I just want to buy deodorant without having to subscribe to it monthly.
Correct. Yes, just let me buy it one time.
I took
please.
like a half day unsubscribing from like all of this.
It's the worst. Like how?
lot of
Why?
work.
Why do you? They just automatically put you on their list.
I don't know if this is a real fatigue, but this is when I said like our teenage fatigue.
Yeah.
The real fatigue is that I ask a question and it either takes me 20 minutes to get the real answer, or it's like, like they just yap, so it's just like, I'm like asking like, hey, what's up with what date is this thing that you're trying to go on? Well, I talked to Nancy, you talked to Lucy, you talked about it, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, kid. Like,
They can't just give you a
Could have just
straight
said yes.
straight answer. They cannot.
I'm like,
It's
do
not
I want to
possible.
talk to you? Yes, I want to talk to you about important things, but you're yapping about
Not this.
nothing, and I can't get my answer or my question answered.
To be fair,
That's a very specific fatigue.
I think you and I also just have yap fatigue in general because we have 4 daughters. So
Yeah.
even our 8-year-old and 10-year-old
Yap fatigue.
yap all the time.
Yep, Teague.
Yap fatigue. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we're talking about fatigue because you brought up that sometimes we can get what's called compassion fatigue. So I think this is a really interesting concept that just to think about, like, why, right? Where does that come from? Why do we experience compassion fatigue? Because if you look in the Gospels and you read through, Jesus is around people all the time. So, first of all, introverts, like we don't have an excuse if we're drained by people. Jesus was around people all the time. And it says a lot of times he has compassion on them, right? And so that's why he heals people, even though I'm imagining he was tired, right? Like I'm imagining he probably was over people at certain points in his humanity, right? But so it says he has compassion on them. So he performs miracles and he heals them and he feeds them and he does all these things.
Well, he literally, like, that's the story, is that he gets in a boat to cross
to
get away
get
from
away
the
from
crowds, and they follow him. They're probably still going, and then she did that, and he's like, stop it.
Stop talking. Just stop talking. I just need a minute. So, we see this example from Jesus, but like, why do you think we have in our current culture, especially, why do we have such a low threshold for compassion? Do you guys have any thoughts on that, or what have you experienced with that?
I think there's just such a need for compassion, like everywhere. I think
Okay.
there's always another crisis. There's always
Yeah.
another hurting person, and like I think most people want to help, but then it's like there is so much stuff there. I can't help everything, so I just shut down. And
I can't do everything, so I just do nothing.
Exactly.
Okay.
I think we've gotten to that point where there's so many needs, but there's also, which you hit on a little bit, we tend to just go straight to judging, and it's like
sure.
that person is in that situation because of their own decisions. So we don't tend to see other people the way Jesus sees other people,
True.
where it's like, no, this is a person. I don't care how they got there. This is the situation they're in. It might require some discomfort,
Sure.
like getting in their
Yeah.
uncomfort,
Yeah.
to comfort them.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's weird because, like, when you're saying, I think we use judgment as a defense mechanism of why we shouldn't
Yeah.
have to help, and it's like, and really what you're thinking is it's that same feeling of being overstimulated or where it's like I am inundated by this and I am kind of intimidated by it and overwhelmed by it. Therefore, I'm going to say anything I can not to actually engage in this just because I can't even handle it.
Yeah, it's self-protection.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting.
And so I think that we are just cared out.
We're cared out.
And I think, I didn't cover a lot of this, but it's just like, I think social media is a part of this, is that, like, I made that one statement where I just said, I can't like this person because of something that happened somewhere that I don't even really care about, but now the media is telling me I should be enraged by it, and
Sure.
it's on the internet. And so it's just like there's so many things that we know about that we didn't used to know about.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Like in the 80s and 90s, like I could just help somebody because they were the only person in front of me and I wasn't worried about, some random person that got killed in Seattle. Which
Sure.
happens to, like,
Yeah.
whatever the next thing, somebody got stabbed here, or somebody did this, and somebody, it's like everybody wants you to care about all the things all the time, always. And I think it's almost traumatizing people in general, where it's like, it feels like a lot to carry at all times. And it's like, most of that stuff does not affect you in any way whatsoever.
So when we think about, like, again, I just really feel like it's this low threshold. Like you're saying, we're overwhelmed, right?
Yeah.
And there's so many things that we just choose not to do any of them. I think in a similar vein, like I was also thinking about why then, and you guys both almost hit on this, so let's dig into a little bit more. Why then, though, if we feel a conviction, right? I see something, I can help. I think, like, yes, I can handle helping in this situation. Why do you think we hesitate so much to actually move on that and extend compassion in the instances that we can? What do you see in
Again,
those?
I think compassion costs something.
Okay.
And we're like, well, that's going to take my time. It's going to take my energy. It's going to take my attention. It's going to take resources. And I don't know. We've just gotten to a place where we're a little selfish.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
resulting in not as much compassion.
Right.
Well,
Yeah. It's not about me.
Yeah.
I have to put this other person ahead of myself. Yeah.
I think the biggest thing, I'll just speak personally,
Okay.
but like, I think the biggest thing is margin, and I don't know how far it's going to go.
Okay. What do you mean by that?
So there's this stigma that happens where like I'll encounter it a lot as a pastor or, you know, through the church, where we don't know how far this is going to go. So somebody comes in and they say to us, hey, listen, I'm behind on my, you know, electric bill. Okay, cool. We'll pay your electric bill. And then we pay it. And then they're back the next week and we're like, what happened? They're like, well, I also, you know, am behind on my gas bill. We're like, okay. And then we pay, you know, it's like,
Yeah.
well, really, I haven't paid my rent in 6 months. And we're like, now we're neck deep in this.
Yeah, so it's just snowballing.
Yeah. And so a lot of times what we do is we have people meet with our deacons and they say, we want you to bring it all. Like, show us everything.
Okay.
And then we will decide whether or not we can actually help with this or not. Or whether this is one of those things where you kind of got to fish or cut bait.
Okay.
You know, like,
Okay.
And so I think sometimes, you know, I will, if I help somebody, sometimes that establishes a connection that it's like, I'm helping you because I want to help you and care for you. And for them, you're the only person in their life. And so now you are pot committed. And if you pull out of that at any point, you're the bad guy.
Okay.
And so I don't know when I'm helping somebody how far deep I'm going to be. So I don't really
Okay.
know what the actual commitment is.
Sure.
You know, so if it's my buddy that's like, oh, I forgot my wallet. I'm like, oh, I'll pay for lunch. Like,
Sure.
I'm in, right? And it's like, but because I understand the boundaries of that. But I think good boundaries and good borders and things like that, of knowing when it stops and how far you can go and what, I think that's very intimidating.
Sure.
So I think there's that part of it. And, you know, just honestly, the margin of, I think we stack our lives with so much that we cannot take on something like that. It's like,
Sure.
it's very intimidating to go, you know, like really we're running from soccer practice to work to the gym. So I don't have time to stop and change somebody's flat tire.
Plus, this is what I do. I make excuses. Where I'm like, plus, they probably called AAA.
They have a cell phone.
Yeah, right.
They have a cell phone. So, and I will just say, like, as a woman, if I see someone on the side of the road, I'm like, what am I going to do? Like, I don't know anything about cars. And they probably have a cell phone, right? So I just, I'm like, yeah, it'll be fine. They'll be fine.
And culturally, there are so many things that are happening in culture that are counterintuitive to community.
Okay.
So like, and Landon brought this up yesterday when he and I were talking, but like, I agreed with him. It was just like, and I've done this before. Like, if you pull over to the side of the road, somebody's on the side of the road, you pull over and it's a woman, like, I don't even approach the car. I get out and go, are you okay? And they'll wave me off. And I'm like,
Sure.
okay, I'm leaving. Because
I'm leaving. Don't
Yeah.
worry. I'm not creepy.
yeah, as a man,
Yeah.
that's the first thing.
Sure.
If I pull over in a truck with a, you know, a ball hitch on it, well, I'm going, I am in a good place to help you out here.
Yeah, I can-
You know?
yeah.
And it's like, I know how to change a tire. And it's just like, no. You know, and it's like the whole, would you rather be in the woods with a man or a bear? You know, kind of cultural things, like
Sure.
asking women, and women
Yeah.
are like, no, I don't want the man. I'm like going, so I don't even know if you want me to stop.
Yeah.
You know,
So
so
that's fair.
So there's so many things that are happening in culture that are counteractive to community that
Okay.
that used to be like this. Oh, this used to be chivalrous, or this used
Yeah.
to be something that was really helpful.
Sure.
And it's like, no, mind your business. Don't be anybody else's business. That's impolite to ask if you can do that. Like, it's very much stay away. Don't invade other people's spaces. And then it's like, people are so lonely.
Well, yeah, there is that part of it too, where it's like, oh, well, if I show compassion for this, what if they're just trying to scam me or
Yes.
like kidnap me or something?
Right,
It's like,
right.
yeah, so many cultural things now. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of fear associated with, like I said, for me, it's, well, I don't know what I would do in that situation, right? So I will drive past. Or there's a fear that either something could happen to me, or like you said, that they're trying to just get my money, right? I think this is like the number one thing we talked about this Sunday night at our young adults ministry. Our icebreaker question was like, do you pull over? Like, are you the person who helps people? Like, if someone's got a sign up asking for money, what do you do? And like, mostly everybody was like, no, I don't give money. Like, they're just gonna buy drugs with it, right? Like, I think that we all just believe that narrative. That I'm always curious about how often that is actually true, right?
I don't know how you're homeless these days and not have a Venmo, honestly. Like, I'm like,
Sure,
Gen Alpha,
sure.
Gen Z, I'm going, do you guys carry do you
They
have
don't.
cash?
They don't. Yeah, they don't carry cash. That's true.
No.
So I think that's interesting. I did have one of the.
Like, here's a piece of gum from my glove compartment.
One of our young adults at my table, we like asked this question, and he was like, "Yeah, like I did actually the other day. I saw a guy, and he had a sign out, and he was asking for money. So I just said to him, like, are you going to be here for a while?" And he was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Cool. Come to this same place." It was like right, there was a restaurant right there. He goes, hey, come back to this restaurant at 1 o'clock and I'll buy you lunch. Well, that's a great approach. You didn't give him money. You didn't and so he was like, I'm going to eat lunch at this time. If you are here at this time, I'll buy you lunch. And we were like, did he show up? He goes, no.
He had an appointment.
Yeah.
But I was like, that's okay. That's a good approach to compassion. But yes, I think we have
for sure.
all these things, right, that make us hesitant to even extend compassion in general. I tell myself all these things are going to happen.
Well, and right now you actually have a bad thing too, where in society what we're told is that it's the government's responsibility
Sure,
to take
yeah.
care of homeless people,
Yeah.
and that's why they're taxing us so heavily. And then they don't take care of homeless people,
Right.
and then we're like, well, now I don't want to give anything because the government's supposed to be doing
They're
this.
already taking my money.
And it used to be it was our own responsibility to take care of people locally.
Right.
So it used to be a lot more community oriented and everything like that, but now people just don't care. They're jaded.
I feel like there's a whole, you're hatching a whole series here about community, the contemporary view of community and loneliness.
Well, I am now. You want to write it with me, Jake?
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
do it.
you and Jake are going to write a series. Okay, so Lucas, you in the sermon, you made this distinction that offering compassion oftentimes, so the Samaritan, which you went into the whole background of how much the Jews and the Samaritans hated each other, which is why, this parable would have been so shocking, right, when Jesus gave it. But you said the distinction that offering compassion says more about who we are, right, as the people. This, it said more about who the Samaritan was than the person that he was helping. And as you pointed out, it was the most nondescript human being.
A certain man.
A certain man is
Some dude.
beat up on the side of the road. So the Samaritan is the one who stops. And so that says something about him and his character and his identity. So what do you guys think? How does showing compassion, how does that show our identity? How does that, what does that reveal about our character when we do choose to do that or not do that? Ooh, I stumped you. I stumped
You did.
them.
No, I actually have this, but I just wanted to get my Bible out right now.
Okay, so if you're on Spotify, which is me, I usually just listen to podcasts, but there's a whole trend that Pastor Ryan started a couple weeks ago by bringing his Bible, and now Jake brought in his Bible, and then Lucas had to one-up him by getting the biggest
it's
Bible he has in his.
What is this?
See this.
It's twice the size.
What do you got? What do you got rocking over there? A compact NLT?
Yeah.
This is
It's the way to go.
This is a full-throated
That's a
ESV study Bible.
Can
Okay.
fit this in my backpack.
see. That's
It's thicker because there's room in the margins to write as well. So it's it's wasted space.
there's a preacher we watch sometimes who he has a little Bible because he can stick it in his back pocket.
Yeah, you
I was
always
like,
got it with you. It's
that's
good.
great. He pulls it out
he's-
in the middle of a sermon.
And he's old. I don't know how he reads it. It's got to be a small, thin line.
Yeah, it's a little one. Anyway, what do you guys think? How does compassion, what is that, us showing compassion, what does that reveal about our character or our identity?
Are you ready?
Yes.
So in Matthew 25.
Matthew 25.
In Matthew 25 is the story about the final judgment where it's the sheep and the goats.
Yeah. Okay.
And I just think it's funny. And I was trying to bring this out in the sermon, but I don't know how well I did. Because like I said, I think so many times now people think that caring is caring about people's feelings.
Sure.
And I'm always
Okay.
like, listen, you got to manage your own feelings. That's up to you. But this is, he says hey, they're going to come before me and, maybe I'm going to say, well done, thou good and faithful servant. But he says, for I was hungry and you gave me food, and I was thirsty and you gave me drink. I was a stranger and you welcomed me, and I was naked and you clothed me. I was sick and you visited me, and I was in prison, you came to see me. So that's the expectation that Jesus is saying. And he says, when you do this, you did this for me. And the whole point of this is what he says, hey, I don't know you. And the guy's like, what do you mean you don't know me? And he's like, well, you didn't do these things. And so I think that when you do these things, what you're proving is that you want to get to know Christ, that you know
Okay.
God.
Okay.
So it's I know God. Well, how do you know that you know God? Well, because I'm doing these, I went to prison and I did that. I'm doing these things as if I did them for Christ. And I think that it shows that you know the heart of God, that you know that what he expects of you, what he wants from you. But
Sure.
again, I want to point out that these are things that it's I fed you, I gave you something to drink. When he says that,
water. I gave
yeah,
water.
I gave you water. I was a stranger and you welcomed me. It means that you let them stay in your house over the night.
Sure.
So somebody was traveling through. It's you met an actual need. I was sick and you visited me, you came to care for somebody,
Yeah.
and you visit somebody in prison, it's like if you go visit somebody in prison that, you're caring for them and you're welcoming them.
Sure.
But it's not like I was sad. I had a case of the SADS and I sat with you for 5 hours. But it's physical, tangible needs that you can actually do to care for somebody.
Okay.
And I think that when you do that, what it proves about you is that you actually know the heart of God.
Yeah, I would agree. When I was thinking about this parable, the Sunday after we got back from our spring retreat was all about the book of James.
Yeah.
And it was all about like faith in action, not just being hearers of the word, but doers of the word.
Yeah.
So I think it says a lot about like our relationship with Christ, like exactly like you just said, where our faith is driving us to those good works and actually doing something.
Yeah.
But what if it's scary?
Buck up, buttercup.
I'm just saying, okay, okay, offering food to someone who's hungry, I feel like, okay, I can do that. That's not maybe a super huge inconvenience, right? Or
What if I was
food
thirsty?
and water, right? Like I can hand someone a water bottle. I can, I can meet those needs. Clothing, people who need clothes, donating clothes, that's pretty easy, right? But like when we get to visiting people in prison, that makes me freak out a little bit. Like that gives me anxiety, right? So when I'm thinking about like, what does this say about me? I think it relates back to what you were saying is like, that feels super uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It feels really hard and really uncomfortable. And like in that situation, I don't actually feel like I'm unsafe. Right? I wouldn't be unsafe. I can tell myself that,
Yeah.
but like it feels really like it makes me nervous, right? It makes me uncomfortable. And so I think that there's sometimes like there's a point, like I will get to a point where it's like, oh, this, but not that, right? I don't want to do that thing because that feels too much.
Do you
for
think
me.
it's more or less intimidating when you do it with somebody who actually knows what they're doing? Like if you went with a prison, if somebody who had a prison ministry was like, hey, would you come with us and help us put on this service in the prison? Would you go to that versus like, would you just cold call people in prison?
I would definitely not do the second thing. Definitely not. I don't know. Jake, what do you
Yeah,
think?
because I think we all have our different gifts. We all
Yeah.
operate in the body of Christ differently. So yeah, finding someone where that is their gift, going alongside with them.
Yeah.
But again, there are things that you can do, like I don't know, like writing letters or just
True.
I don't really know how the prison system works. But,
See, I don't either, and I think that's what intimidates me a little bit.
yeah.
Yeah, like yes, if someone invited me who knew the system and said, "I'm doing this thing, will you just come with me?" That might feel a little less scary.
Well, in biblical times, like I said, when someone was thrown in prison, it could have been for a number of things. It could have
Right.
been because they were actually a criminal. It could be for debt,
Yeah,
right? You could be in debtor's prison, which a lot of times is the same thing. It's like, I'm going to go and I'm going to bring them food so they don't have to eat gruel in the prison. And sometimes maybe the prison feeds you and maybe they don't. It's like, I'm going to go and you had a beating in prison, so I'm going to go treat your wounds. Like, so that you're still meeting a lot of physical needs
Yeah.
by doing that.
yeah,
And so a lot of times it's, caring for the people in your community, especially. It's not necessarily cold calling, but like, back then if you had a family member or a neighbor that went into prison because of debt or something like that, like it would be up to you to go and visit them and take them things or care for them.
right.
So,
But
I
it's
don't,
different now. So.
right. And if you know somebody that ends up going to jail or prison, I think that's an easier sell than
Oh, for sure.
cold calling.
For sure.
But if you just want to interpret it as at their lowest point, you came and visited them.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I'll be really honest. When I was in Leading in Freedom, probably last year, there was a woman who had been at my table a couple of times. I didn't know her super well, but she ended up in jail. And Mike was like, "Hey, I think you should go visit her." And I was like, "No, hard pass. I do not want to do that." And I was like, I just like that made me feel really nervous and really uncomfortable, and so I didn't do it. So full confession. But I also didn't ask the Lord, should I do that? Because I think He would have said yes. and then I would have
He's like, I already told you in Matthew 25 that I want you to do
that
that.
I want you to do that, and I didn't do it. So, so there's my confession for the day. But I do think, you did talk about a little bit how our identity gets shown, and that we're calling, like, we're revealing that to the people that we're helping, that we're offering compassion to. Like, we're inviting them into that identity too, of like knowing God and following Jesus' example and all of those things. But you had this other great phrase in your sermon, which the people seemed to like. You got a big response on this, where you were talking about help is not.
At least first service. Shout out first service.
Shout out first
Yeah.
service if you
The
were at
awake
first
service.
They were awake.
The early risers.
Yeah. Also, like, shout out, a bunch of students showed up at first service this week, and we were all like, "What's going on?
Yeah, that was cool.
Why are they here early? This is weird."
I don't know.
It was cool. I mean, it was great. So.
Also, as long as we're doing shout outs in the middle of the thing.
Sure.
Shout out Abby Stepanik,
Again.
which I'm getting her name
I
right.
think that's right.
She actually, Abby is so sweet. Abby, you're so sweet. Like, she sent me an email apologizing for her name.
Oh my gosh.
And I was
do
like,
that.
oh, no. Like, I'm just bad at, like,
Lucas is just bad at names. Like,
listen,
that's okay. It's
I
not
read-
your fault.
I read books.
Oh my gosh.
And like I come up with the wildest pronunciations of the names that I'm reading in the book. Like, if they don't
Yes.
make a movie out of the book, I think that, like, Hermione, that was in, like, I was just like, oh, it's probably just Harmony, and it's just spelled weird.
No,
And, like,
it's not. It's not. Lucas doesn't do names very well. Friends, help him out. Tell him how to say your name, because he doesn't know.
yeah. But
doesn't
shout out
know.
Abby, we love you, and your name's not all that hard. It's just
It's just Lucas is bad
Just
at
me.
names. Okay, Jake, you got anybody you want to shout out?
No, not really.
Okay. Sorry, I put you on the spot.
Shout out everybody watching.
Yes. Okay.
shout out to the youths.
The
that
youths.
listen.
The youths with no vowels.
The
Yeah.
youths. They did the thing
At the
again.
167.
I don't know what that means. Okay. Yes, actually, our daughter asked if we were going to change the name of the podcast because.
The 167.
The 167.
Okay.
What was the question?
Yeah. So you had this great phrase in your sermon where you were talking about help is not confirmation.
Oh
Okay.
yeah, compassion is not confirmation.
Compassion is not confirmation.
You gotta get the alliteration to pull
Hey,
up.
I listened back, and that is not what you said.
Ah,
I'm
receipts.
quoting you directly. I listened back. So I think you did it differently in the second service. But so essentially what that means is, like, I do think sometimes we get hung up on, you had this whole bit about if I turn the person over on the side of the road and they're, representing something that I disagree with politically or
Oh, yeah.
morally
But it
or
gives me the ick.
philosophically or, whatever. Should I still help them? Right. And obviously yes. But what is it about that makes us feel like, oh, I don't know what to do? So you're saying we can offer help without affirming a person's lifestyle. Okay. So I'm curious about, why do you think this is such an important concept? Specifically, Jake, I was thinking, like, how do you think that could be a helpful little tidbit for students?
Yeah, I feel like students, they're like trying to find their people, trying to find their tribe and fit in somewhere. So it's like, if I'm helping this person in this friend group or this whatever, then that means I'm associating with them, and
Yes.
then I'm distancing myself from this other identity that I want to have.
Okay.
So I think it's kind of like the popularity sort of thing, or
Sure.
fitting in
Sure.
aspect of it.
Sure. So we want them to know that doesn't have to, like, those two things are not mutually
Yeah.
exclusive, right? Like,
Yeah, it's just like seeing people as people, not as a person in this group,
Right.
but simply as a child of God.
okay.
Well, and I think, I don't know if you want to affirm this or not, or you want to challenge me. I think that sometimes
Challenge
we're just suffering from a lack of vocabulary, where it's like, they're like, oh, you don't love this person. And I'm like,
sure.
no. I have compassion for this person. I'm just not affirming of this particular
Okay.
lifestyle.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, they have, they don't have that nuanced, part of that vocabulary. And so it's just like, it's, the love is love kind of thing, where that goes beyond LGBTQ or whatever. It's just like,
Right.
I love tacos is the same thing as I love a person. And it's like, well, that's just poor vocabulary. It's just like, I enjoy tacos, eating them, I ingest them, but I am committed to this person that I love. And so it's that same thing of like, where it's like, oh, you don't love me. And I'm like, no, telling you the truth is loving you.
Yeah.
Like for children, they don't understand that, where it's like, no, grounding you when you step out of bounds is love. If I didn't love you, I wouldn't care and just let you run wild and let you ruin your life.
Maybe we need to start adopting the phileo and agape and like.
Yes, let's separate our versions of love to be more
English.
specific. So I did think it's interesting. I looked up the word, like the definition of compassion does specifically mean to have sympathy or sorrow for someone who is stricken by misfortune, right? So it's not always like, I think sometimes also we misunderstand compassion, and that it's just like being nice to someone, right? Like, oh, I'm just gonna,
Poor baby.
yeah, I'm gonna be nice to you, which a lot of times is where like the affirming mentality comes from, right? Like, I don't want to confront you. I'm just gonna, I'm just gonna be nice to you, or I'm just gonna tolerate you, or I'm just gonna not, get in your business. But like compassion actually is sympathy and sorrow for someone who is stricken by misfortune. It says accompanied usually by a strong desire to alleviate the suffering, right? So to like take that suffering off of that person. So I do think, like, again, we're probably also misusing compassion a lot of the time, right? Like, we're not fully anticipating that, like, it does mean helping someone who's in a bad spot, right? Not just like, oh, your feelings got hurt, right? But like, you have had I love the word misfortune. You've had a misfortune. So I don't know. What do you think, Lucas? I feel like you were going to say something else.
Well, it also triggered, in the message I talked about Spanish phrases I remember, and I remember that one. Oh, pobrecito.
Yeah, you do say that one.
Poor baby.
You say that one to our kids a lot.
I'm trying to teach him Spanish.
Sarcastically, though. It's not always the most sympathetic.
Well, I do. I think there's a distinction between you feeling compelled to help somebody and you being uncomfortable that someone needs help.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, like, there's times where, like, people will come up and it's like, they'll see poverty, or and it's like, it's the ick again. It's like, oh, like, I don't want this here because I don't want to feel bad. I don't want to, like, I don't want to see this. And so there's a difference between that and then going, oh no, like, I would love to help you in this. And, it's like, versus just feeling uncomfortable because it exists.
That's interesting.
So I do think that, like I said, I say it at home, is that help is only, it's only help if it's helpful.
Oh, you're jumping ahead. I have the next question about that. Don't get into that yet.
What specifically were you asking about then?
Oh, go ahead. I'm going to ask you about sharing a story. Did you not look at the questions?
I did.
He glanced.
He skimmed.
No, I was just saying, what was specific about this
No,
one?
you continue. What were you going to say? It'll be fine.
No, now we're in a standoff.
Oh my gosh.
No, I guess with compassion, like I said, I do think that it should be something that moves you to want to help. And we used to do this too. Like when we take mission trips, I would tell people, like, you're going to get there and you're going to see some really bad stuff. And then you're going to want to be like, I can do this and I can do this. And it's like, no, just lock in. Like, this is what we're here to do. This is what's going to be the most helpful. So I do think that it should motivate you to do something about it and not just feel bad.
Yeah, I think that's a good distinction, that it's more than just the feeling. Like, compassion isn't just a feeling, but it's the doing part.
The doing
it's not. It's even more than just the there.
Yeah. But
it will be okay.
because if
That's
we're
like
still
comforting.
Yeah.
if we're sticking with language, that's sympathy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's not compassion.
Yeah. So I did say he often has this phrase: "Help is only help if it's helpful." Feels pretty straightforward, but I was curious: have you guys ever experienced a time, personally, where someone tried to help you, but it actually wasn't helpful? And how did you feel in that experience?
And probably so many times, because
So many times. Just stop helping Jake, everybody.
It's a me thing, because I'm a perfectionist and I'm a horrible delegator.
Oh no.
So it's
It's a
like,
bad combination.
yeah, it's like someone wants to help, like, set up for youth or something. I'm like, yeah, sure, you could set up, and then it's like they set up totally
Wrong.
not how I would do it.
Totally
And I'm
wrong.
like- and then I just end up doing it anyway. It's like, well, appreciate they say it's the thought that counts, but I don't know.
It's not really
Not
very
really.
helpful when you're, yeah, it's not that. Okay,
Yeah.
that's a good example. Lucas, what do you think?
I think, on a fun and cheeky way, it's our own
yeah.
kids. But
Sure.
it's
Which
like
is similar to what
Yeah.
Jake just said.
yeah, well, like when your kids want to help you cook in the kitchen or do something like that, and it's like, I'm helping, and I'm like, no, you're just making a mess and carrying a spoon, but it's fun, it's fine.
Is it?
I mean, it's a lot more cleanup
I
in
was
the
like,
end.
is it fun? It's not. I
You
agree.
added a half cup of salt instead of sugar.
Ah.
It's like trying to hold the flashlight for your dad. It's like, set in the flashlight. I'm shining over here.
right here. Hold it still.
It's like you might as well just get a stand and
Just
put it on.
getting
there.
a headlamp.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's probably more productive.
but it's about including people. But
Sure.
Yeah.
we also have very lovely people at our church that sometimes they want to be helpful and they don't know how, or they have something like. There's a guy in our church that he shared with me that I think he works with Ace, and they had all these leftover Dots pretzels, which I'm like, I love Dots pretzels. And so he was like, we have all these bags of Dots. And I was like, but like, how many are we talking about? And he was like, I think he said like 48. I was like, 48 bags? He's like, no, 48 cases. Oh my God. And I was like, okay.
That's
and
a
he's
lot
like,
of pretzels.
he wanted to do something with
Sure,
him.
yeah.
And I was like, sure, bring him in. I will find a way to give them to Hope Market. I'll find
Okay,
a way
yeah,
to,
yeah.
to distribute them. We'll give some to Shiloh. We'll give, it's like, I was like, we will find, like, we'll have Dots Pretzels night at youth, like,
Yep.
have a pretzel
So
eating
many Dots
contest.
pretzels.
It's like teenagers will eat anything.
That's so salty.
How many bags can you eat without drinking water?
Oh,
That's a game. That's a game.
that makes my,
How many pretzels can you eat?
but so like, I was just like, yeah, bring him in. And so he was like, it's that stuff where I'm just like, there are sometimes where people are just, they're very eager to help. And I'm like, okay, like we'll figure it out, but there are parents not parents, there are volunteers here that you can just tell they're already in grandparent mode. So they're always like, I'll come watch kids at the church. Here's a gallon of ice cream that I brought. And it's like, oh no, like, but they're in that grandparent mode. And so I'm always like, oh no, but thank you for your help. Thank you for being here and that we can legally operate.
So what is it about? It's interesting, Jake. I have similar things like that, like with our kids, where I'm like, I know you want to help, but like our 8-year-old will be like, Mommy, can I help you with dinner? And I'm like, no. Like actually, there's real. I mean, and because
Mommy's
really, I'm
boiling
like,
water on the stove.
I know there's like nothing you can actually help me with. If I'm making spaghetti, like I've got the water boiling. I already made I don't even know, right? And it's easier to do it myself.
Yeah.
Right? I'm very much that same kind of person. It's just easier to do it myself. So, what do you think that is? That like, it's so hard to live in this balance of like, okay, letting people help. It's good for them, right? Like they need that, but then it's hard for us to receive that if it's not the way we want it to be, right? Like how do we navigate that then, right? Like what do we do with that? Not just our kids, not just, like, what do you do with that when people are like, I want to help, here's how this is how I feel like I'm supposed to help. Okay, like what do we do with that?
I don't know.
I don't know. You're the perfectionist.
How do you you're the perfectionists. I don't know.
I coach life group leaders on this particular thing. So we have a conversation about this, conversation 5. We're just out of the 6 conversations for small group leading, where we talk about what do you do if somebody in your group is in crisis.
Okay.
And one of the things that I coach them on, see, I should have brought that instead of this.
Instead of the Bible.
Oh
Yeah.
no, I should have brought both. But it's a couple of things that we coach them on is that you don't have to be the person.
Okay.
And so like, even as like a group leader, whether you think that you're like, as a life group leader, I'm going, everybody wants to be that person where it's like, so-and-so's has a family member that died. And there's one person that like, I don't know if you've ever had this where like somebody just barges into your house and they clean it for you. And they're like, I just cleaned your house. And like you just sit there and like grieve and I'm going to, I don't know, clean all the floors. And I'm going, it's a special person that does that. And it's a person that they are comfortable with. And sometimes you are not that person. And so you
True.
have to have the mindfulness and the discernment to say, I am not this person's person, you know. But
Okay.
you know, Sharon in the group is, so I'm going to call Sharon and be like, hey, how can I help you help them? You know, so sometimes it's helping somebody else help that person. But like, you know, we tell them like, it's not always helpful. Like, you know, so sometimes if somebody dies, what people do is they make it about them.
Sure.
And so it's like, well, I want to help you through this. And sometimes they don't want you
Right.
to be the one that helps them through this. And sometimes they don't want the help either. And so you have to have discernment enough to be able to sit there and say, hey, this is, you know, this maybe not be the time or the place, you know, and sometimes, you know, just because you feel compassion towards that person, that doesn't mean that that you have the ability to fix their problem.
Sure.
So you might need to help somebody else help them. But also, you know, maybe it's just not the time. Maybe you just need to wait a hot minute,
Yeah.
you know, because we do that with, sometimes people overlap where it's like here at the church, we have a meals ministry. And so the more tied in with the church, the less that people need that, because we will
Yeah,
contact them.
because other people are already doing that for them.
Yeah, we'll be like,
Sure.
oh, you had a baby? We want to put you on the meals ministry list. And they're like, well, actually, my life group,
My life group already did that.
my life group's taking care of it for a week. My work is taking care of it for another week. So-and-so brought us diapers. And we're like,
Okay.
all right. You know, so just because you have compassion does not necessarily mean like you might want to help that, but you might just have to wait. You might have to wait for the right time or the appropriate place.
So hold on to that feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on to that feeling. Yeah.
Or ask them, like you said, if I'm like, you know, I'm sure that would stress you out. If something happened in our life and, you know, somebody came over and was like, I want to clean your house. You'd be like, no.
Yeah, so like, I mean, I don't know if I should tell the story, but I'm going to anyway. So when we had our babies, your mom graciously came and stayed with us because we also had our older girls at the same time. So she came and stayed and helped out.
For like a month and a half.
Yeah, like each time she stayed about a month. And there was like your mom's thing is cleaning and laundry. And there came a point where I was like, I don't want her to do my laundry. Like, I just don't want her to do my laundry. I had a weird, I was like, that's just a thing.
Well, it was like I came home one time and she's like, here, I folded your clothes. And I'm like, you folded my underwear? You haven't done that since I was 12.
Well, and that was the thing I felt weird about.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? I was like, you raised him, but not me.
Yeah.
So that feels like a boundary that we need to keep. But that, yes. So there's moments, and I think it's a weird, I don't know, there's like a weird thing there where, especially for women, like we want help, but we sometimes don't know what kind of help we want. And so I know that there's this, I've listened to lots of, you know, Jenny Allen, I just saw a clip from her. She was talking to Gen Z about casseroles. She's like, we used to love each other by giving each other casseroles. She's like, you guys don't even know what that is. But like, we used to just show
All food is
up.
deconstructed now.
Right, like we
our
used to
faith.
just show up with food because that was how we showed we cared about people, right? When they were in a time of crisis. And she's like, for better or worse, like it just means like you were in their life, right? You were like, I'm coming over, I'm bringing you this, I'm getting involved. And I know that there's like schools of thought on that like some people are like, no, like don't just say, what do you need? Like, because people don't know what
They'll
they
say
need and they'll say nothing and they
Yeah.
won't take you up on it. So like new moms, I know that's a big thing, right? When people are like, let me know if you need help. And then you're just like, I do, but I don't know with what, right? Like you guys having little
Yeah.
kids, I'm sure you've been in that season where people are like, tell us what you need. And you're like, I don't know.
When really in that
I-
season was, I'm coming over to babysit so you guys can run out and get dinner.
But even that doesn't always feel good, right? Like,
It's like, but I don't want other people to watch my kids.
yeah, so there's this whole like,
I don't care, Jake. I want to help you. I have felt compassion in my heart.
so it's like this whole like, how do we navigate that, right? Like respecting people's boundaries, but also being like, no, I recognize that you need this, and so how do I like, I don't listen. You don't want to be forceful about it, but you also want like sometimes you can tell like, oh, you really need this, right? Like you just what like I want to do this thing. How do I do it in a way that is actually helpful to you? I don't know. I feel like there's a lot there to kind of unpack and just think through. Like, how do we do that well to show we care about the people in our lives?
But again, I think that sometimes is a cultural thing that's happening in our society where it's like we have so much nervous energy and so much control
True.
that it's like, you know, like that where it's like, I brought you a casserole. And it's like, well, I don't like broccoli and cheese. And it's like, who cares? Just say thank you
Yeah.
for the casserole
Right.
and throw it out. You know, like who cares? You know, like that person is trying to help you.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's like that where it's like, you know, oh, the guy set it up and I'm like, how important is this? You know, and it's like, and it could be like, hey, come set up with me. You know, that way we're learning. But it's like, you know, sometimes I just, you know, it's like your kids where it's like, Daddy, I want to help you pick up sticks. And I'm like going, I know this isn't going to be helpful, but we're spending time together.
Yeah.
This is actually going to be, you're going to do
gonna be
a terrible
worse.
job.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have to redo it later. To your point, Jake.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just going to, it's fine.
It's
fine.
okay.
It's okay. It'll be okay.
Yeah, and it's okay. And like, it's okay to just not be offended. It's okay to just take people where they are. But I think especially with, you know, when it comes to the Good Samaritan, that's what he's asking is like, this is the guy that everybody you think is a horrible person.
Right.
And yet he's the one that in his heart
Yeah.
has the right attitude.
Yeah.
You know, it's not the outwardly thing where it's
Right.
like, oh, this is the person that has it right because they did the worship and they,
Right.
you know, they take care of the temple and they, you know, make the sacrifice. And it's like, well, they must be the good person. It's like, yeah, but in their hearts, they're numb.
Yeah.
And so there might be a person that you think is a terrible person. Like you know, in my head, like the Samaritan's like, you know, this like rough dude who's got like a scar on his cheek. Like, you know, he looks like, it's like the Tangled of it all.
Yeah.
You know, like
When she goes into
Rapunzel,
yeah.
when she goes into was it the rubber ducky
The
or
duckling. Something duckling. I don't remember.
I have no idea.
yeah.
I know what you're
But
talking
she
about.
goes into the bar and basically, you know, they sing the song "I Have a Dream."
Uh-huh.
Like that's how I picture the Good Samaritan, where he's just like this guy with like a hook hand, and he's like, "Oh, I got to get this guy to a hospital," you know, like, and everybody else just thinks he's this terrible, terrible person. So, but you know, that's the whole point of it is that when you feel that compassion in your heart, and like we have so many people that we deal with at Freedom where they say because of jadedness in their life, because what happens that their hearts harden, and then we pray that prayer over them that God would remove your hardened heart and put in a heart of flesh. And it's like, so here's this maybe this person that you think is a terrible person, but honestly they're the ones that want to help.
Yeah.
Okay, so wrapping up, my kind of last thing, there's a parable of the Good Samaritan is probably one that like it's Jesus' like most famous parable, right? This is the one that gets everybody knows this story. I feel like even secularly, right? You know the phrase to be a good Samaritan,
Yeah.
right? People know what that means. So
Which I don't think that when people say that in culture that they realize that you're saying that you're an awful person.
I don't think they realize that either. I think they mean like the compassion aspect.
I'm a good
right?
neighbor.
I'm a good
Oh,
neighbor.
Samaritans must be great. They must be
great
looked
Samaritan.
at highly. Yeah.
Yeah.
We hate you.
So just with that in mind, what's something that for each of you, what would you want to challenge our listeners to think about or do with this parable or this sermon? Kind of maybe besides what you ended the message with on Sunday, but like what are some things to leave people with about as we think about the Good Samaritan and how that applies to us?
Yeah. So I'll go back and shout out my crew from Spring Retreat. They were
Hey.
awesome. But we talked about this need that is in their school,
Okay.
just for keeping it anonymous. I'll say Jimmy because that's the name you use for anonymous people.
Totally.
But they're like, yeah, there's this guy Jimmy at school who he's bullied a lot, has a hard time like finding his people. I'm like, okay, well, how can we put our faith in action and what can we do for Jimmy? And they're like, well, really, like I don't really know. And I was like, well, could you say hi Jimmy in the hallway? Like, yeah, I could do that. Could you give him a high five every time you see him? Like if us 7 people just agreed every time we see Jimmy, we're going to say hi to him. We're going to high five him because we see that he's having a hard time making friends. Literally just one person that could change his entire
Right, for
perspective.
sure.
That could change
Yeah.
his entire life.
Yeah.
Just being recognized.
Yeah.
So it's like
Yeah.
you can do something.
Sure.
Yeah.
I just had this
I
terrible
want,
picture in my head.
listen, no, I want to know how that goes.
Yeah,
I would like
yeah.
an update on that. So if you tell your crew, like,
Crew actually do it.
yeah, let's actually do it because we all want to know how that. First of all, how that affects Jimmy,
Yeah.
but also what does that do to your crew, right? Like,
Yeah.
how does that reflect their character, right? How does that show other people how they love Jesus? I think that's super cool. I love it. Lucas, what were you gonna say?
No.
Was it relevant or no?
It was just funny. It's the scene in Billy Madison where he calls and apologizes to Steve Buscemi, and Steve Buscemi crosses his name off the list. I don't need revenge against this person.
So 7
But,
fewer people for
Yeah.
for Jimmy
Yep.
to be mad at.
Yeah.
But I love that story too, and I want to hear that redemptive story of. And I know that sometimes these are fictional stories, but I even think about. We watched that show Freaks and Geeks, and at the end of
yeah.
it, they invite the kid that's like he's like the popular burnout kid though, but they invite him to play Dungeons and Dragons or something like that, and so he's playing with these nerds. You know, I'm like, I love that story where it's like you start to say hi to Jimmy, and then you realize that Jimmy does something that's actually super cool.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, this kid's actually pretty, you know, like, and then you actually become friends with that kid. I love that story. But
It'd be cool if it went that way.
yeah, it
Yeah.
would. Jimmy, be cool. have a hidden talent. If you don't have one, get one right now.
Nunchucking skills, computer hacking skills.
I know he probably paints Warhammer, but
That's
might
cool.
wanna-
That could be cool.
it can be cool.
Can be cool if you're Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill. I was like, Henry Cavill paints Warhammer.
Okay,
That is
sidebar.
the most handsome man in the world, although Jen Alpha doesn't like him.
Not according to Jen. Yeah, the youngsters
Dummies.
disagree. Do you have a takeaway about the Good Samaritan? Because we're getting way off track here.
Sorry. I would just say
I like when Jake's here because Jake's
Yeah,
just like
just like,
chuckling. He's
this is
like,
great.
it's funny.
I would just say listen to that voice, like when you said it,
Yeah.
where it's like somebody was like, "Hey, you should go visit him," and it's just like listen to that. You know, like you never know where that's going to take you. And so I heard a wild story this Sunday where somebody talked to me about picking up somebody who was
Oh,
homeless.
this is great. Tell this without names.
Oh, okay. So
This is a great story.
somebody in our church picked up somebody that was homeless. They said that they needed a ride, and so they took him to a gas station. And the person, I think they bought vape or cigarettes or whatever they bought there, and it was the last week where it got really cold, and they were like, "Can we take you somewhere because like it's
cold,
It's
yeah.
cold, like you're
Yeah,
homeless."
yeah.
And they were like, "No." And so they were talking about Mission Southside or whatever, and so he said he felt prompted by the Holy Spirit, so he took him to the police station because they were going to. A lot of times the cops know
They can find a place.
yeah, they can find a shelter.
Yeah.
And when he got there, I guess the police was like, "Get out of your car and take the keys with you right now." And so he got out of the car, and I guess that they had picked this guy up all the time for being violent. And so he had been driving around with him in the car and was perfectly nice to him. Like, you know,
Right.
like,
And you said the cop was like shocked that nothing had happened
yeah.
to this guy.
It's like, and he looks at the guy from our church, and he goes, "Don't pick up homeless people. It's dangerous." And he goes, "I'm going to be honest with you. I'm probably going to do it again." It's like, so I was just like,
Well,
yeah.
here's why I like that story. I think that's because, like we talked about earlier,
Yep.
so many times there's this fear, right? Like there's a narrative in my head that says if to have compassion, I have to put myself at risk, right? And so to be like, oh no, like the Lord protected him in that, right?
Yeah,
Like,
and he said that to me. He's like, "The Lord asked us to be compassionate. He didn't say be safe,"
hey, whew,
which
Good word.
was the answer to the question we asked next. Would you pick up? I can't remember what it was like. If you would pick up a hitchhiker or a
Sure,
homeless person,
something like that.
And I was like, "Oh yeah, I did that once." And they were like, "What?" I was like, "In college, my roommate and I were coming back from playing a gig, and we were driving, I think, like Springfield to Lincoln." And there's a guy on the side of the highway where it's that 3-lane highway. And so we just stopped and was like, "Hey, do you need a ride?" He's like, "Sure." And my roommate was so funny because he had the presence of mind. He actually knew Kung Fu. I know that sounds like a cartoon.
that doesn't sound real.
He specifically studied, that was before mixed martial arts was a thing. He
Sure.
specifically studied Kung Fu. And so he's like, "Here, sit in the front." And I'm like, "What are you doing?" So the guy's riding shotgun, and he goes, "Well, I sat behind him, so if he did something, I could choke him out." Basically, like reach forward and pin him to the seat. And like my roommate was like this 6'3" lineman, so he was pretty cool. He played bass, but so he gets out and gets in the back, and the guy throws his bag in the back and gets in the front. And so we just drove him to Lincoln and let him out of the car. Like we talked the whole time, shared Jesus with him. You know, but my roommate's in the back, like ready to spring into action.
yeah.
So there was like, "Did you feel safe picking that guy up?" I was like, "Oh yeah," like I had Hickman. He
Yes,
was like,
because I had this guy
I was
with
fine.
me. This guy with me. Also,
so help people, but walk around with a big friend.
Holy Spirit also
Yeah,
going to
Holy
protect
Spirit,
you.
yeah.
He's going to take care of you. Not let anything
And if
happen to you.
not, and you die, you're gonna go to heaven. So
Oh
so
You're
boy,
gonna
there
be
it
with
is.
Jesus.
There
what's
it
the
is.
worst
It'll be
thing that can happen to you? Now, ladies, don't do that. Dudes, you should be dangerous enough that you can pick up hitchhikers.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Start, what is it, jujitsu? Start rolling,
Start rolling.
Yeah.
carry a gun, do whatever, do whatever
Kung
you need to
fu.
do. Yeah.
No kung
Sorry.
fu.
Kung fu sounds. It does. It sounds like a movie.
Be cool. Be cool enough that you can pick up a hitchhiker.
Okay.
Be ready.
Be ready. Be ready in case you have to pick up
And like
a
I said,
hitchhiker.
I would say that in general, be ready. Take a homeless kit. Make sure that I always want to do that now, especially now that I have a truck, is actually carry a hydraulic jack in my truck.
Okay.
Because if you ever use the jacks on people's cars when they get a flat
Yeah,
tire,
they're terrible.
awful.
So bad.
They're terrible.
So plan ahead. Plan to help people.
Plan to help people. That's a great takeaway. Hey,
Study kung fu.
Students can do this.
Yep.
You can plan to help people. Put your faith in action.
Mm-hmm.
Reread the Book of James.
Take
if you
some
need
extra
to.
lunch money.
Yeah, bring. Our daughter likes to just bring extra food to school right now. To her, they have a homeschool. They go to a homeschool co-op, but she'll just bring extra stuff and be like, "Oh, so and so is hungry, so I brought this for them." But
She's a compassionate person.
she is. She doesn't always use it correctly, but she is a compassionate person. So, all right. Well, thanks guys for being here. Hey, we're starting a new series on Sunday. It's
Get ready with me.
Yeah, we're getting ready for Easter. First of all, this is Palm Sunday coming up. Woohoo! So,
wild.
getting
It's
ready for
already here.
Easter. But also, our series is literally called "Get Ready with Me."
Jake's
and-
gonna do makeup tutorials with contour makeup.
I better learn because I have a daughter.
What you want to do is come down the bridge of the Nile. No.
I'm sorry. I'm just
gotta
picturing.
get on
I'm
YouTube.
picturing Jake in front of the phone doing a makeup tutorial.
This is just some of my favorite things
Aw,
right
for
now.
Andy.
Is that influencers girls will do the get ready with me videos, but then they'll have their husbands edit it.
Oh, yeah. Those are good.
Love it.
That's a funny trend. All right,
ready
so
with me.
come find out what this is going to be about. So I'm not going to give a whole lot away, but it's going to be a great series, and we're looking forward to Easter. If you saw on our social media page, who are you inviting to Easter, right? Everybody, we would love to see you and 10 of your best friends at our Easter services. So join us on Easter Sunday, April 5th, and sooner,
Yeah, invite a
and
homeless
this
person.
and this Sunday. Invite a homeless person.
Learn kung fu.
But first,
kung
learn
fu.
kung fu so that you're safe. We do have security here at the church, so bring whoever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, Pastor Jake, always a pleasure. Thanks
Yeah,
for joining
thank
us
you.
this morning.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here in our chaos. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time on the 167.
Adios.
If you enjoyed this episode of the 167, make sure you like, subscribe, follow, get notified, leave a 5-star rating and a positive review. Tell all your friends to listen as well. Make sure you go over to newlifegardener.com and check out all that we have to offer as a church, and check out our messages online as well. Thanks for listening.